What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are going to talk about the DCEU versus Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy. Why are we talking about it? Because both of these movie universes create quite the discussion online. As you saw yesterday, I pissed off all the Snyder fans. They are after me. They are totally like they wishing death upon me. They are so mad at me. I can take it. Bring it on. But again, both of these universes create such a vibrant discussion, and so really it comes down to which one of these universes is worse, because they both suck. They both suck, but one of them is moving in the right direction, and the other is moving in the wrong direction. So we're going to talk about the DCEU first. The DCEU started out strong, I guess you could say, because the anticipation for Man of Steel was really high, myself included. I was really looking forward to Man of Steel, and it did fairly well at the box office. It didn't do great, but it did okay. It didn't do as good as it should have, though, being a Superman movie within the golden age of comic book movies. When a goddamn Iron Man movie can make $1 billion, you know, I would hope Superman could. But ultimately, Man of Steel did not perform as well as it should have. Still did okay, and it still made money, and made a lot of money in merchandising and things like that. So it did okay. Got off to a divisive start, but not divisive to like Last Jedi levels. There are a lot of Man of Steel defenders out there. I'm very aware of that. I am not one of them. I can't stand that movie. Then we move into, what was second? Is it Batman v Superman? Was that the second movie? Oh my god. Batman v Superman. Such a terrible movie. Such a terrible movie. Did about, what, $875 million worldwide, which on paper, movie does $800 and almost $900 million. You're thinking, that's pretty damn good. It's Batman and Superman on screen for the first time ever. No, that's not good. That's not good. I'm sorry. And that showed that a lot of that Man of Steel carryover didn't really ignite the audiences to want to come see this universe anymore. Batman and Superman on screen for the first time ever. Didn't work out too good. Then we got... It's so hard to remember some of these DCU movies. I think Suicide Squad was next, and again, financially did great. People hated it. I actually liked Suicide Squad a little bit. I understand it's a bad movie, but I liked it. But ultimately, it did not inspire audiences at all. Wonder Woman was fantastic. Everybody loved Wonder Woman, rightfully so. It's a great movie. Justice League was a complete and total disaster on every level. I don't even remember. I don't even think about Justice League anymore, even though I did like it more than Man of Steel and BVS. Then we got Aquaman, and Aquaman has just proven to be a juggernaut. And it feels like with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, it finally feels like the DCEU is finally finding its footing. Started out kind of sluggish, kind of hit bottom after that start because Batman, Superman, and Suicide Squad, it really just bottomed out. And now with Wonder Woman and now Aquaman, it really seems like the DCEU is finally has new life into it. Then we move into Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy. And we started out with The Force Awakens. Very well received movie. Did $2 billion. Fandom seemed to be in really good shape for the most part. I understand that there are critics of that movie at the time when it released. I understand that the critics of that movie have grown in large numbers since The Last Jedi. But regardless of that, when The Force Awakens released, high audience ratings across the board, high critic ratings, $2 billion. You can come up with all the scenarios of why that happened, but it still happened. And I understand that there was a lot of nostalgia. There was a lot of goodwill that was built up, a lot of hope, a lot of blind hope. I understand all of that, but it still happened. Then, The Last Jedi happened. And The Last Jedi is proving to be one of, if not the worst, movies ever made within a trilogy setting or a saga setting or whatever. Like, The Last Jedi makes Batman v Superman look like a masterpiece. Now, there's the other part of this. The Last Jedi happened, extremely divisive movie. Extremely divisive. And to me, I don't even feel like it's a debate anymore. I feel like the majority of Star Wars fans hate The Last Jedi. I'm not even sure who likes The Last Jedi in terms of the Star Wars fandom. I know there's some out there that are so worried about their press passes and they're so worried about their credentials. They'll say they like it, but I don't really know many people that genuinely like the damn movie. You go back to Batman v Superman, had a very divisive reaction, and I was part of that discussion online, and I was on the anti-Batman v Superman train. Have been in so many arguments about that movie over and over again. But Man of Steel and Batman v Superman have very, very vocal and loud supporters, and they're in big numbers. The Last Jedi doesn't have that. It just doesn't. And the other thing about the difference between these two is that while Man of Steel and BVS, I don't like them at all. And I don't think that they did justice to either one of the characters. Pun intended. I don't think that they did justice to either one of the main characters they were focusing on. But they pale in comparison to what The Last Jedi did. And retroactively now for me, looking back on what The Force Awakens did. Because again, I was a Force Awakens defender. And in isolation, I still like The Force Awakens. But now, retroactively looking back at The Force Awakens, it's clear that the mistakes started with The Force Awakens. It started with J.J. Abrams. They started from the beginning. You should have started telling the stories from a Han, Luke, and Leia perspective, and the majority of screen time should have been given to the original trilogy characters in The Force Awakens. That's just a fact at this point. I'm sorry. I'm one of the last Jedi haters that defends The Force Awakens still, and even I can admit that. Okay, mistakes were made with the Force Awakens. Major mistakes were made that led us to where we are. Whereas Man of Steel and BVS, again, I don't like them, but the things that they did, specifically Man of Steel, the things that they did in Man of Steel, while I didn't like them and I did not think that they honored Superman, at least there were some elements of Superman there. And at least there was respect given to Superman. And here's the biggest aspect of this right now. This is where, obviously, I think most of you know where I'm going with this. This is where the DCEU separates itself completely from Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy. One of these universes panders and focuses on identity politics and social justice nonsense, and the other is just trying to be a little edgy with its storytelling and deconstruct the characters and tell them from a different perspective. I can much more respect that version, even though I don't like it. I can have much more respect for that version where you're just still trying to honor these characters and you're keeping at least some resemblance of them around. Whereas in the sequel trilogy to Star Wars, it's all about identity politics. Like, that's all it's about. It's about getting diversity. It's about focusing on the women. It's about making men look bad. It's about taking a lifelong icon, as in Luke Skywalker, and basically making him tuck it, put down your lightsaber, tuck it, and be an old hermit, and let the women be strong and show you up. That's exactly what it's about. At least Superman is a badass in Man of Steel. I mean, he is a man's man, and I can respect that. So that's where it comes really apart. I mean, I don't like the DCEU. I think they've done a terrible job of representing the two biggest, most iconic characters in the history of comics. I'm always going to feel that way. But at least they still respected these characters in terms of their manhood. They didn't take away their identity as a man. Whereas that's what's happening right now. You made Han a deadbeat dad. You made Luke an old hermit. You made him tuck it. You made him put his lightsaber down. And you made him just, basically he was Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino, except he wasn't the badass. He was just the old angry guy sitting on the porch. Clint Eastwood was a badass in Gran Torino. I could talk about that movie all day long. But anyway, he was just an angry, get off my lawn guy. That's all he was, without the edge. It's really disappointing. So easily, the Star Wars sequel trilogy is far, far, far worse than the DCEU. And the DCEU is not good. But the sequel trilogy, because it panders to identity politics, social justice BS, and it's worried about tearing down the man and elevating the woman. It's worried about it from that perspective. It never intended to honor these characters. It never intended to respect them. It never intended to grow the mythology within the universe. It never intended to set us up for the future. It was all about using this as a social justice factory. And that's exactly what Kathleen Kennedy did. So for all the faults within the DCEU, at least they didn't go identity politics. At least they didn't get woke and go broke. They never did that. Now, you can point to a few elements, like I can't remember if this followed through. Didn't they change Jimmy Olsen to Jenny Olsen, which was so stupid, but it's such an irrelevant character for them. Yeah, we're going to know who Jimmy Olsen is, and that might matter to a lot of us, of the fans, but it's not the same as what they did to Luke Skywalker and Han Solo. It's just not. And making Princess Leia flying Leia, which is so stupid. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it right there. Disney's sequel trilogy versus the DCEU. It's not even close. The DCEU is a masterpiece compared to Disney's sequel trilogy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.